everyone. My name is Kathryn Soley, and this is 1-800-CALL-KATHRYN. As always, I'm looking forward to taking your calls today, and shall we jump right in and hear from our first caller?
Hi, I'll try to make this as brief as possible. I'm calling about a friendship that I have been fostering for a year now. He was very honest with me in the beginning that he was not capable, but not willing to be in a relationship because of a lot of the trauma that he had in his past and addictions. All of the addictions have been dealt with except for a porn addiction. Long story short, we had fostered a great friendship, and it has grown to the point where I want to continue to know more about him. His avoidant tendencies tend to bring out my insecure attachment issues, and I've used it as a way to sort of heal some of that stuff within me and move forward with myself. I guess I'm trying to figure out how to have faith and trust that this is going to keep going and that it's not going to fizzle out because of his avoidant tendencies and his inability to believe that he is capable of a real deep relationship. So I guess I'm asking how to keep the faith and how to trust myself and my intuition and really stay in that loving, compassionate place, non-judgmental place, but also respect my own personal growth and the desire for deep connection. And is there a way that I can use the cards to do that? Thank you.
Okay. So, I added a candle to the show today and a couple other new little objects, and I'm thinking, let's pray that I don't accidentally knock this candle over as on some episode and set the table on fire. Okay, so we've got a friendship you have here with a man who sounds like has a lot of trauma, you said, in his past, which results in addiction, that's where addiction comes from, if you don't know. A great resource for this sort of stuff is Gabor Mate. I really appreciate his perspective on addiction, or I did when I read his books like 15 years ago or however long it's been now. And you're wanting to have a deeper relationship with him, or it sounds like you want to transition from the friendship into like a romantic partnership, and he says he's not available for that, but you are, maybe it sounds like you're hoping that you can get past that with him. And also great self-awareness that you notice that it's triggering your own insecure attachment stuff. I mean, I think one of the reasons that we're drawn to certain people, friendships, work relationships, romantic relationships, is because we sense on some level that this person's going to trigger my wounds, they're going to trigger my trauma. Or at least that's, what we're attracted to. I think in a good relationship, of course you're gonna come into conflict, you're gonna trigger each other's stuff, but you work through it. But there's gotta be good good stuff in the relationship too. It can't all just be triggers. And it sounds like you say that there is. But let's see what the cards have to say, because what I think is not as important. Let's see. Okay, so we have the Knight of Pentacles, the King of Swords, and the Six of Swords. Okay, so what I'll say here, if you're not familiar with my style of reading, and when I give a reading, usually I don't do it on the show, but I have like a 3 to 5 minute long spiel that I do before all my readings usually, but for whatever reason I just haven't really done. It's just too much for the show, it feels like. But you know, I look at tarot as the cards are reflecting yourself back to yourself. So I believe that you cannot predict the future with tarot. You cannot sense what another person's going to do or what another person is thinking or feeling. You know, I've heard sometimes people will come to me for a reading. There are people who are in a desperate situation and they keep going to different readers to try to like find the answers. And so sometimes people will come to me after they've had readings from like, you know, a couple other people. And the things that they tell me that those readers have told them, I'm just like, oh my God, it's so irresponsible. You know, classic example is you're in love with someone, but he's married to somebody else, and he says he's going to leave his wife for you, but he's not doing it. And there's all these, you know, these other readers. I've just heard these stories of like, oh, in 1 month, he's going to leave his wife and he's going to be with you. He really wants to be with you now, but he has to wait 1 month, or things like this. And it's like, and it doesn't come true. And then you get this person's hopes up. It's readers like that I don't necessarily think are badly intentioned, but it's those type of people that give the art of tarot a bad name, or that, you know, people think it's a scam. But in my opinion, maybe to some extent, I said you can't predict the future, you can't tell what other people are thinking. Maybe to some extent you can, but I would never give a reading like that, because not just because I feel like, anyway, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but the future is I want to say permeable, but that's not quite the right word, but it can change. And so what's true, you know, today about what could happen in a week from now, different events could happen and it could change that, right? The main reason though that I don't do that is because I think people get way more, infinitely more out of the reading if they look at it as like, here's a mirror, here's some things to be aware of within your own self, within your own way that you're relating to the situation, and just reflect on it from that perspective. But that's not as sexy. That's not as you know, it's not as flashy. It's not, you know, people want to hear what they want to hear, right? And it's not as easy. There's a squirrel looking into my window. Do you hear that? A squirrel's tapping on the window. What the hell? He's trying to get in the house. What is going on? I'm sorry, I've never seen this in my life. Okay. What the hell? okay. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Sometimes things like that, like weird things happen when I'm giving a reading, and then I like, huh, is this symbolic of something? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not gonna put my mind on that right now. But anyway, to bring my little tangent here back to the reading, all of this is just to say, you know, I cannot predict what your friend is going to do, if he's going to be capable of opening to the relationship, you know, if you guys are going to end up together. That's not, I don't do that in a reading. So all that I'm going to do is just reflect back. And I didn't think you were necessarily asking me that, but I'm just going to reflect back what the cards seem to be saying. So, you know, we have these two swords cards, the King of Swords and the Six of Swords. And swords have to do with our mind. They have to do with the way that we think. When I see the King of Swords come up, one of the things that I think about is, you know, the king, he's, in tarot, there's the suits. So you have numbers ace through 10, and then you have the court cards within those suits. And the king is, depending on how you look at it, depending on what model you're using, is generally at the top of the pile. Like, he's mastered this area, being the mind. And so the King of Swords is this aspect of yourself that has, in his highest expression, has mastered his mind. He's in control of his mind. He sees clearly, he thinks clearly. He's not pulled up and down based on emotions, based on fears, based on desires. And so this King of Swords exists within you. And so you have to be, you know, clear with yourself, honest with yourself, tap into that King of Swords energy and look at, is this person realistically capable of having a relationship? And where is my desire for relationship with this person coming from? Is it, and it sounds like, you know, you're aware that this is triggering certain things in you. And, you know, and again, like, kudos to you for using this to help you work through those wounds. And I'll say too that just because, you know, sometimes I think people come into our lives, powerful relationships come into our lives, help us work through a lot, trigger us, activate us, excite us, all sorts of things. And you know, you can get everything that you were meant to get from that relationship without it necessarily turning into a romantic relationship. And I'm not saying that that is what is happening with you guys, but opening to that possibility too. You know, I've had relationships, I've had friendships where we come together and it feels like oh wow, like we are so in sync, we're so in tune, like what, I'm gonna know this person forever. And then once, I'll speak from my own experience, once I work through my trauma that the person's triggering, then the relationship loses that magnetism, it loses its pull. I start to see the person more clearly, and it's like, oh wait, actually, I don't really feel like there's what I once thought was here. Now that the trauma has been kind of like worked through to a certain extent, maybe not fully, but to enough, to the place that I am no longer like having this magnetic pull to be with this person or to be in friendship with this person. So with the King of Swords, just to reiterate, just can you be honest with yourself and clear with yourself without the fears and without the desires, like the fears of losing this person. Oh no, I'm never going to find someone I connect with as much as this person. The feeling of like, I can save this person, I can heal this person, like we're meant to be. I don't want to be, I'm going to be lonely if I don't, you know, whatever. and these things, they can really like go back, what was interesting to look at, what was your relationship like with your dad, like, or mom? Was there like a distance? Did you feel like you had to bring them back, pull them back, help them, help cure them, help to resolve their trauma for them or with them? And also I have to ask, does he do as much for you as you do for him? Okay, and then so we have then the Six of Swords. With the Six of Swords, in this reading, I'm associating it with there's a shift in thinking with this relationship with this person. So, and it's probably already underway. It sounds like it's already underway. You met this person, your mind is a certain way, the way that you think about relationships, the way you think about attachment, insecurity, all of those things a certain way. And through the relationship, there's a transition, a change in the way that you're thinking about these things that's happening over the course of time. With the Knight of Pentacles, there's something with the Knight of Pentacles about, just sort of getting in there, like taking action, getting in there. And I'm wondering, how does that, when I say that, before I say anything else, like what does that mean to you when I say, getting in there? What does that mean? Have you been fully transparent with him about what you want out of this relationship? And yeah, there's times when, people have defense mechanisms, they have walls up, they have things that they're, afraid of intimacy, afraid of connection for various reasons. And sometimes you can pull them out of that. You can help, make them feel safe. But other times you can't really, you can't, like the person is not going to change. And so again, you're going to have to use your higher faculties, your intuition, your King of Swords energy, and figure out, is this person actually going to go through the changes needed to be in relationship? Like, even asking yourself, would you be okay being in a relationship with someone who has a porn addiction? Like you said, like, is that something you want to navigate in a relationship? And, even saying like he's worked through all of his addictions except this one, unless there's one level with addictions where you're changing the habit, but unless you deal with the underlying initial reasons why you have those addictions, they're gonna keep reformulating through different things, porn or social media or work or whatever, and would you be okay with navigating that, waiting for him and supporting him until he works through those things, those deeper things here? So let's pull an oracle card to close out the reading to give us some clarity going forward, guidance going forward. Stillness. So I love the stillness card for this reading. I feel like it really reflects back that King of Swords, or a certain quality of the King of Swords. So in order to have that clearness of mind, that clarity of mind, it involves a certain mental stability where the mind is not like activated, it's not, excited by ups and downs, highs and lows. Whenever I see the stillness card, I like to recommend meditation. I don't know if you have a meditation practice or a mindfulness practice, like a sitting practice. But that could be really beneficial for this as well. Yeah, it can be a tricky area, this sort of thing, because if you have a tendency of trying to save people, of falling in love or loving people who are unavailable or who need your help or your support in some way, or are not able to reciprocate the same care that you give for them, that's something to be aware of. But like I said, also, all relationships have their difficulties, all relationships, long-term relationships, you're going to be working through stuff together. And I think one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, that a relationship fails is because one or both parties is not willing to actually work through, like, you come up into some sort of conflict and either it's too scary, or you don't have the training or the skill set in order to work with it, or I don't know. But and I can't say, based on this call, where you fall on that. And although, like, my person, if you were my friend, I would be a little bit wary of putting so much into this relationship with someone who's saying he's not capable, like he's telling you he's not capable of it. So, but all of that being said, again, just to summarize this, I think having that clarity of mind and really being able to see it clearly is important. I'm laughing because it's like, sometimes tarot, it just gives the most obvious, well, yeah, if I could do that, I wouldn't be asking for a tarot reading. But that's probably why people seek out those other readers instead of me, the ones who are like, okay, well, in 1 month from now, he's going to change his tune. He's going to want to be with you. But yeah, that's what I feel is the reality of the reading, is just, can you feel the difference, feel out the difference between the chatter of the emotions, the fears, the anxieties, the desires, the trauma, trying to fill certain wounds with the relationship versus the clarity of mind. Okay. I wish you the best with this. It's, yeah, it's not easy. Love, emotions, human psychology. It's really not easy. Okay, so let's hear from our next caller, shall we?
Hey, Kathryn. This is Vanessa. I'm so happy you're doing this, and I love the show. So amazing. So, a little bit about my situation. I'm in a really amazing point of my life, and a lot is blooming, and that's not normally why I would reach out for a tarot reading or check in. However, I don't know, I'm really curious if there's any information that can be shared around maybe how to work with this energy. Like, how do you really drop in with high energy, a lot, just when it's a lot of energy and things are moving at a very fast pace? I'm curious what the tarot might say about that, and if there's any specifics around my situation. Because of the astrology and everything that's going on in the world, and it sometimes feels a little selfish to be so happy during a time of the world where it is really heavy, but at the same time, like, I know that that's authentically where I need to be, and like I deserve this, and I'm worthy of it. But yeah, I'm just like really dropping in with the whole my situation. So anyway, I don't want to keep this so long. Anyway, that's my situation. Bye.
Okay, Vanessa. Okay, well, this is a fun one. The reading is basically like, I'm feeling so good. What do I do? Things are going so well in my life right now. What do I do with that? I can't say I get too many people calling in or getting readings from my website for this kind of question, and I love it. And it's true. It's like, it's that thing where we, during times of high stress where things are going upside down, that's usually when we're like seeking out spiritual guidance, when we're seeking out help, and when people come to religion or people start a meditation practice or something like that. But when we're feeling good, it's like, oh, I don't need that. But why wouldn't you need it when you're also, what's the difference? I guess it's just that we want to stop the suffering. And so like, how can I get out of this? How can I get out of this? Tarot, meditation, church, something, get me out of here. Yeah, so it sounds like too, how to work with the energy, higher energy, how to work with it at this time when there's also some guilt present, which I wonder how many people struggle with that. I know it's something I struggle with too. It's like, I'm just going about my day, I'm having a nice day, enjoying the nice weather, or gardening, or having some sort of nice exchange. And then later I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people around the world that are starving to death, that are dealing with war and famine, and why do I get to have a good life and they don't? So let's pull some cards here for Vanessa. Okay, so we have the 10 of Wands, the 9 of Pentacles, and Strength. I mean, the thought that I was having as I was pulling the cards was like, you know, just don't worry about it and just enjoy what's here. And it seems like the cards are reflecting that. You know, I see that with the 9 of Pentacles. There's something with the 9 of Pentacles. When I see that come up, I think about enjoyment of life, just sensuality. There's something kind of sensual, not sexual. There's a difference between those two things, but just enjoying the senses, the sensory experience of life. With the 10 of Wands, in this reading, it feels like there's an abundance of energy. There's a fulfillment of energy, like just lots of life force. And with that 10 of Wands, you know, you might just, and it sounds like this is what you're asking too, and it's something to ask yourself of, how can I best channel all of this energy that's coming through at this time? How can I use this for in the most beneficial way, benefiting yourself, benefiting your family, benefiting the collective, even your community, and wider. With the Strength card, when I see this card in relationship to the reading, there's something around as you encounter difficulties, as you encounter the lions in the world, can you interface with them, relate to them gently, lovingly, consciously? So the lions in this case, what does that mean for you? Does it mean a difficult mother-in-law? Does it mean some friend who is really upset that you don't hold the same political views that they do? Is it seeing mass war and suffering going on that's completely out of your control? Is it, what is it for you? What is the lion that you're encountering in your life at this time? And is there a way that you can dance with it instead of cowering in fear, instead of dominating it with, the whip? But what I love, the Strength card, I really resonate with in my being, or it's something that I strive towards in life. And when I think about the Strength card in general, I think about this part of ourselves that when we're faced with difficult situations in life, we meet it with love, we meet it with gentleness. And so instead of, I always think about this one example from my life where I was working in a fast-paced, busy restaurant, and I had, the role that I was in, I had to tell people what to do or ask them to do things. And I started to give directions to someone. They got upset, they didn't like being told what to do, and they kind of had a little said something under their breath and huffed and went off. And I went over to them and very gently I was looking them in the face, what's going on? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, but I just have to do this. It's my job. Is there a problem? Is it personal? What's, just, I don't even remember exactly what I said, but I just remember not being triggered, just going to her, trying to kind of diffuse the situation. And then after that, we got along really well for months, or I don't even remember how long I worked there. For a long time afterwards, we just got along super well. Prior to that, there's a little bit of conflict, and there's some sort of less that taught me something. And so I try to relate to things like that, where it's it's hard though sometimes when we're getting triggered, getting pulled into things. So basically, with the first three cards here, it's enjoy what you have, feel it. By the way, it's probably not going to last forever. There's highs and downs, there's ups and lows, ups and downs, highs and lows in life. Normal, totally normal part of life. Things happen out of our control, throw us into a trigger, throw us into chaos at different times. But we always have a certain level of choice in the way that we relate to it, right? So anyway, for now, just enjoying it, enjoying that abundance of energy that you have, spending some time reflecting on, well, how can I best use this energy at this time? And then as the lions come up, as these fears or difficult things going on in the world at large, or even within your family or friends, I have a very loving, wonderful relationship, and sometimes I feel guilty telling friends about it who are struggling, and or even talking openly about my relationship with people, because I know that it's not always the case that people have that sort of thing. And so I usually don't even really talk about my relationship with people for that reason. Anyway, okay, so let's pull an oracle card here for some guidance with these themes going forward. imagination. Well, I do love this card for that reading. I know I say that all the time, but I do love that card for this reading. This feels like an invitation to go into the imagination, think about what's possible. You know, this card here, the Ten of Wands, I didn't spend that much time talking about it, but it's a very important piece of this reading. You have all of this energy, all of this, you know, the wands are related to the element of fire. Think about like the fire signs that you know, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, they're like full of energy, right? And the 10, it's the fullest, it's the biggest of those wands. And so how are you gonna use this? How are you gonna work with this? And imagination is a good way to do it. And it may even just look like the way that I'm gonna use this energy is I'm gonna use it to just enjoy my life to the fullest. I don't think that it helps people that are suffering for you to suffer with them. I don't think, you know, if you really want to, like, if you're concerned about things that are happening with loved ones or with the world at large, then do something about it. Like, take action, try to help in some way, but feeling guilty, trying to suffer with them, trying to bring yourself down, dim your light so that you can, you know, be on their level or not feel guilty. It doesn't actually help them, does it? All right, Vanessa. I hope that's helpful. Oh. It's a little bit of an easier reading for me in a way. I don't have to... Everyone, call in with all of your problems, but also call in if you don't have any problems. By the way, call into the show, 641-632-2727. Keep calling. I need calls. We got to keep the show going. Free tarot reading. When else do you get the opportunity to get a free tarot reading? Okay. Let's get our last call, and this call is long. It's actually broken into 2 calls, which normally, by the way, I disapprove of people calling and it's going over the limit, but in this case, the person was giving a lot of pertinent details. They weren't rambling, and so this is the rare instance where I'm gonna play a call that goes over with 2. Just letting you guys know, don't call and leave like an 8-minute multiple phone message. I will not probably even listen to it. I will not play it on air unless you can leave an 8-minute message if it's a really good story, like it's an anyway. Okay, so let's hear from our caller here.
Hi, Kathryn. I am calling because I am going through a lot with my family right now. I guess, honestly, I just feel like I'm going through a lot with my family continuously. And it's gotten to the point where I feel like I need to make a decision on the boundaries I need to hold with them, or whether I need to cut them out completely. Both of my parents are alcoholics. My dad has been for my whole life. My mom, more recently, they're together, but they don't like each other, and I don't think want to be together. And for my whole life, haven't seemed to want to be together. And both of them are just, my dad especially is just emotionally abusive and manipulative, and my mom didn't used to be that way, but I think he has rubbed off on her after all these years. And there's just a really complicated family dynamic then that filters down to me and my 2 sisters and my nieces and nephews. And even just getting a text from literally anyone in my family other than my nieces or nephews gives me extreme anxiety, to the point where, like, just a text could trigger me to shut down for a day or a week. I'm just so on guard with them that I don't want to hear from them. And because everything, I just feel like almost everything they do hurts me, and I'm just an open wound when I'm around them. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. I love them, but I feel at this point, they really just hold me back in life more than anything, because I often enter a depressive episode whenever I have to do a lot of family things. And yeah, I just feel a lot of pressure to keep my family together, even though we don't seem to get along anyway. And there's a lot I want to do in my life, and I don't know if...
Here's the second part.
I'm sorry, I went too long in my last message and I got cut off. But anyway, just to conclude, I don't know what to do about my family right now, whether to just... I'm just looking for answers about what I should do and what level I want to keep them in my life. If I keep them in my life at all. So anyway, thank you, and bye.
Okay. Yeah. Something needs to change here with the relationship, and it sounds like you know that. And my guess is that in your heart, in your gut, intuitively, you already know this and know generally what needs to be done, but it gets complicated, right? When it's our family and we love them and our lives are intertwined and there's addiction present. How many people here, how many people listening have ever had to deal with a loved one who has an addiction? How many people have dealt with addiction themselves? It's a very common thing to navigate. But yeah, my heart just goes out to you because it's not easy. It's to the first caller too. There's some crossover here. You know, you love someone and they're dealing with addiction. It's not easy. Okay, so let's see what the cards have to say here. Okay, so boom. I don't know, I feel like such a dork. I just did that. But that's what it feels like. It's like, yes, there's like power, there's energy with these cards. We have the Emperor, the Magician, and the Knight of Wands. And all of them, there's, wow, yeah. Okay, so first of all, We have 2 cards here that are in the Major Arcana within a 3-card reading. And when there's 2 or more cards in the Major Arcana 3-card reading, to me this indicates that there's deeper things at play. This is like something that's hitting on a deeper level. Okay, not surprising. It's your family, right? Wow, yeah. Okay, I just want to say to you, caller, that you can do this. You can do this. You have the power, you have the life force, the energy to do what needs to be done, even if it feels scary, even if it feels impossible, even if it brings up all sorts of feelings of like uncertainty, confusion, anxiety. You can do it. And I'm not just saying that as like a platitude, as just to say it. I see it here in the cards. There's a lot of energy, life force. Okay. So, and each one kind of has its own flavor here. So we have the Emperor. When I see the Emperor show up in relationship to this reading, the sense is you're in charge of your life. You are in charge of your life. Your mom is not in charge of your life. Your dad is not in charge of your life. Your siblings are not in charge of your life. You are in charge. You don't need to, you're no longer, I mean, you are always going to be their child, right? But you are no longer a child. You are an adult. And when you're dealing with addicts, that word has such a stigma, but it's a powerful, it's a powerful word. I think in some ways has more accuracy to it than saying alcoholic. I think it can be helpful to someone who loves someone who has addictions. If you say like this person is an addict, it can sometimes break through more so than the alcoholic. I don't know why. Maybe that's just for me. But when you're dealing with adults who have addictions, it doesn't matter that they're older than you. You become the adult in the equation because they can't really be an adult because they're not, I know I sound harsh and I don't mean to, because addiction always stems from trauma, always. And people don't decide to become addicts like consciously. It's, develops over time, over, a wound getting bigger and more festering and not dealing with it over time. And it's not your responsibility. It's not your job to protect them, to save them, to make them recover, to, what's the word? I want to say kowtow, but I don't even know what that word means. I have to look that up. But it's not, you don't have to fall in line with what they require of you, what they want from you. You are in charge of your life, okay? The Magician, when I see this card come up, I would never say this normally, but in this reading, I see some relationship with the Emperor. There's a certain empowerment with the Magician. There's a certain similar sense of you are in charge of your life. But with the Magician, it's like you have all the tools that you need at your disposal in order to navigate the situation. So navigating the situation, when you have a family situation where there's addiction, where if there's enmeshment, if there's been anything growing up where you had to be the parent for your parents, or you had to be the caretaker, or your parents expect you to do certain things that are not really healthy for a child to do in a relationship with parent, it can just be very difficult to unenmesh, detach, and there will be growing pains, and it'll probably feel really, really bad. It'll probably feel really bad. Very painful. Yeah. but it'll also feel good. It'll also feel freeing. And on the other side of it, you may be able to have a relationship, it may be bumpy for a while, but on the other side, it may be possible for you to have a relationship with your family again, but it'll be totally different. It'll be like, okay, I recognize mom and dad have this addiction that makes them not themselves. I can't really expect things from them that I would normally expect from normal people, or not normal people, but people without these addictions. Family it's tricky. It's so tricky, isn't it? And then we have the Knight of Wands, and when I see that, I just think of like, again, there's just this like, you can do it. You can do this. It feels like it's an invitation to just take action, to just do what you know needs to be done. And I don't know all the specifics of your family. For some people, they do have to cut off almost, some people have to cut off completely. Some people do like soft cutoffs where you can like kind of slowly withdraw your energy to the family dynamic. But obviously, based on the things that you're saying in your message, something really needs to change, because it sounds like you said just even getting a text from someone in your family, not besides your nieces and nephews, causes you to go into like a depressive episode for multiple days. Also, by the way, if you're not in therapy, I would recommend it. It's hard. I struggle a lot to recommend therapy now because I feel like it's hard to find a good therapist. There's a lot of like well-meaning people that are not good therapists, that are like, have not done their own work, who just repeat the pop psychology platitudes, who just put labels on things and stop there. They don't want to like find the roots of the way that we're feeling. It's like, oh, here's a label. Okay, that's easy. Next. Instead of like, let's dig in there and see, where did all these symptoms come from? Where did all these feelings come from? So if you can find a good therapist, that could be very helpful. Or at least find someone that you can talk to about this, because if this has been like a lifelong situation, you said your dad has been an alcoholic your whole life, then there's going to be some things in there to get worked through, right? So let's pull an oracle card for some guidance with these themes going forward. Oh my God, what a perfect card. Okay, individuation. What a perfect card. This oracle card always cracks me up. It's so good. So even that word, individuation, it's like, do I have to say much more than that? And then we have the sword and the stone, which famously King Arthur pulled out the sword and the stone. There's also a Greek hero that did that. Was it Daedalus? No. I can't remember now who did it. But in both instances, it's like the story was someone who's just a simple man, or so he thought, and through, this sword, it's recognizing, they recognize that they are a king, or have this sort of superpower that they didn't know that they had. And so when we think about that symbolically, it's like, for your whole life, being in this family, like you said, it's holding you back. It's like, I can imagine there being a lot of like pressure, or feeling stuck in that situation. And so you may be on some level viewing yourself incorrectly this whole time, viewing yourself as a peasant, so to speak, symbolically. And through this individuation process, through this like de-enmeshment with these unhealthy patterns within your family, there's that recognition of your inherent regalness, again, as like a symbol. Okay, I'm not saying you're like queen of the world now, but you know, as a symbol of, I mean, there's so many stories like Cinderella. Anyway, so, okay, so great reading, I would say. I feel like very optimistic about this for you. You can do this. You have all the tools that you need. It may be difficult, but just do what needs to be done. You're ready, and I can hear it in your voice when on the message too, and the things that you're saying. You're ready for this. Pull that sword out of the stone, okay? All right. Yeah. All right. I wish you the best on that journey. It's not always an easy one, is it? And we all kind of have to do that to different degrees. Even if you have great parents, there comes a time where you have to individuate from the identity as the child. You have to, even with like the best parents that you want to be in contact with, there's like the relationship has to change at some point. Okay. All right, everybody, let's pull a card of the day to close out our episode. Okay, so we have the moon. Interesting. I don't usually feel this sort of energy from the moon card, but in this pull, I feel like a sadness. And so whatever's present in your life right now that you have sadness around, can you actually go towards the sadness? Can you actually go into the sadness? Not wallow in it. Not do like a superficial like, but like actually like investigate it. Where is the sad feeling coming from? Is this sad feeling familiar? If this sadness had a voice, what would it say? If there's a tendency in life to have a sad feeling come up, you start to kind of get the sense there's some sadness coming. Maybe you actually do feel sad, or maybe you on some like subconscious level sense that sadness is coming. Is there a tendency to avoid it, to pivot, to like, okay, instead of acknowledging that I feel sad, I'm going to watch TV, I'm going to smoke a bowl, I'm going to have a drink, I'm going to go out and party, I'm going to go shopping, I'm going to go on TikTok, I'm going to distract myself in some way so that I don't have to acknowledge, I don't have to feel the sad feeling that is there. The sad feeling, although that is not necessarily always the wrong strategy, because you have to like function, you have to live your life, but that sad feeling, it doesn't disappear, you know, it's showing up for a reason, it's telling you something. And again, this is not wallowing, this is not like indulging in the sadness, as like people can get addicted to that too, like get addicted to crying. Looking at you, water signs. Anyway, all right, can you go towards your sadness today? Okay, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I hope you all are enjoying the show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave comments. I think that it really helps out the channel. So if you enjoy the show, if you want it to continue, please do those things. It lets me know that people are watching and that they want to see more of it. Give a call into the show, 641-632-2727. Tell your friends, have your friends call in, let people know that this exists. And yeah, if you want to get a reading that's not on the show, if you just want a private reading from me, I do offer tarot readings through my website, kathrynsully.com/tarot. If you want to learn how to read tarot yourself, I have hours and hours and hours of tarot content available on my Patreon for only $5, something like 30 plus hours of tarot content. A lot of people I think would charge like $2,000 or something for this amount of hours of classes, but you can get it for only $5. And also keep an eye out for the Poisonous Plant Medicine course, which begins September 22nd. It's starting very soon, and signups are still open for that. The Poisonous Plant Medicine course is my baby. It's like one of my favorite things that I get to do in life. We talk about poisonous plants, we talk about the intuition, we talk about the psyche, we talk about mythology. We talk about different deities and different religions. We journey with a different plant every month. We talk about plant-spirit communication. We talk about trauma, shadow work. It's 6 weeks. Each class is about 3 hours, really densely, really condensed, lots of information, lots of good stuff in there. Over the years, I've had thousands of people at this point go through level 1 of the course. Yeah, join us. I don't know when I will offer it again after the September class, so if you're interested in joining, sign up soon. And yeah. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. And I will see you next time. Bye.